Good afternoon. Excuse me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Carrie Linklater. I'm your chairperson today, and I am joined on the panel by Mr. Brent McIntyre and Mr. Doug Marks. Our city assessor today is Mr. Stephen Lovenstein, and our admin secretary is Ms. Michelle Meepen. As directed by Manitoba Health, we're requesting people avoid close contact within 2 meters with anyone showing symptoms of a respiratory illness such as coughing or sneezing. If you are experiencing flu-like symptoms, we are requesting that you excuse yourself from the room. Today, we'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparison assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the city administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing, and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. And as information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. If you'd like to come forward, the first property we're going to hear is 1601 Church Avenue.
State your phone, please. Do you affirm that the evidence you go to is true? Can you state your full name, please?
Michael Stephen Holden.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lovenstein and Mr. Golden. Whenever you're ready to proceed.
Sure. This is for the business assessment roll year 2020. The address is 1601 Church Avenue, and the business assessment ID is 36690. The total annual rental value is $256,500. We're applying an overall per square foot of $5.40 to a total area of 47,500 square feet. So we get to our total rental value by applying a base rent of $3.27, and then we apply occupancy costs for heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning. As you can see, the air conditioning, we're only applying 2,850 square feet to get our total annual rental value of $256,500. I do have a verbal recommendation for this one. This is a carry through from the realty appeal that we had at this property. I'll be changing the base rent or the net rent from $3.27 a square foot to $2.75 a square foot. I'm also, in terms of the occupancy costs, I'm also taking off the air conditioning from the area that is 2,850 square feet, where I believe we identified that it did not have air conditioning. So that would give us a rounded ARV of $230,880 for my verbal recommendation, which I sent to Michael.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that amount?
Yeah, $230,880.
880. Thank you. Mr. Golden, are you willing to accept this?
So then carrying on, we can look at the rent comparables on the first page here. They're on Burroughs, Plymouth, Inkster, and Keewatin, all within close proximity to the property. The lease starts range from 2011 up to 2016, and they range from 2 years to 10 years. The reported areas fall within the range of the premise from 31,780 square feet up to 49,300 square feet. And the reported rents range from $3.65 to $3.75 or $3.95 a square foot. If you just turn to the back of the page, you can get an idea of where this property is located. There's a map that shows it's in the Inkster Industrial Park. And then there's also a picture of the property you can see from an aerial view at 16. So again, I feel my offer of $230,880 is fair and equitable, and I think that should be confirmed at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of this?
I think
Yes.
first.
It's very odd, this configuration.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
I noticed that you have the reported rent per square foot. That's based on the rental survey.
That's right. Yeah, the increased customers. Yes.
Right. Okay. And we discussed this previously, but can you elaborate on that? Whether that's a gross rent or a net rent?
I believe you indicated that it's a monthly rent and it's a gross rent.
It's gross rent. And the rent comparables. Do you know if those are?
These are all net rents.
Those are all net rent. Okay. So. And then the occupancy cost for heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning. Is that an average in the market?
Yeah, it'd be like an average in the market. Yeah, they're modeled using mailer data, so they're average in the tenants.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
I have no questions. No questions.
Just one question. Age?
Pardon me?
Age of the building?
Oh, age of the building. I actually don't have the age of the building with me, but it is, I believe it's a 1960s, 1970s style building. Actually, that's not true. I do have the ages. It was built in 5 different components from 1966 to 1987.
And sorry, you removed the air conditioning because there is none?
I believe I think in our email we spoke and we said that there was no air conditioning for that portion of it, so I think that's why I heard.
Okay, thank you. If you'd like to proceed.
Okay. So the tenant pays $3.42 per month gross. That rent includes property taxes, insurance, structural maintenance, and mechanical repairs. Backing off those items, the actual net rent averages approximately $92 per square foot. The space has exorbitant maintenance costs due to the state of the roof drainage, HVAC issues, plumbing issues, which those costs are borne by the landlord. As I was preparing the brief, if you turn to page 2 of my brief, I got a text message from the tenant, Tim McQueen's the manager, who speaks about the water in the bathrooms and some mold issues that are occurring in there. It's because it's a cast iron pipe that's broken inside the wall. The issue that we've had, and it's been an ongoing issue, is that the blocks are full of vermiculite, all the block walls in there, and the insulation around the pipes themselves are asbestos. So it's a smaller leak. We'll break the tiles off and replace the mold issue, fix the mold issue, but we can't actually do the plumbing without shutting down their entire operation. Page 3, again from Tim, states that a cast iron roof drain, this is back from October of 2019, had rusted out and collapsed part of the ceiling. Page 4 is an email from another manager of ITB Auto who requested repairs to the roof on 7 different occasions. And then I'll just go through these quickly, the rest of it. They're just photographs of the condition of the roofs and the roof drain on page 6. Again, the roof, the moisture coming through the membrane on page 7. Page 8, the rotten deck. Page 9, again, the rotten deck and some of the staining on the walls from the water coming down. Page 10, again, the moisture coming through the roof membrane and peeling away the paint. Page 11, the roof deck again. Page 12, some holes that need parging in the blocks on the exterior. The walls are actually moving in there because the clips that holds the bricks onto the blocks have rusted. Page 13 of the condition of the windows, and there is water coming down, as you can see. It's all rusted along the jambs or the sills of the windows. Page 14 is a picture of one of the mechanical units in there, and showing the age and condition of it. Page 15 is the water lines in that block wall, showing some of the insulation. It's actually the elbow behind here that has the asbestos. Page 16 is the condition of the floor in the space where the forklifts operate. Page 17 are the current condition of the bathrooms. And page 18, again, there's no door in the first bathroom, and it obviously needs serious work and upgrades to get it back to a nice condition. And then the balance of the brief beyond those photos are copies of the actual Manitoba Hydro invoices that were paid for the space. So just turning back to the first page of my brief, I indicated a net rent of $2.75 per square foot. The tenant has not had a rent increase in some time due to those outstanding structural deficiencies that have not been remedied. I don't necessarily believe that $2.75 is an accurate amount that will be realized, but Steve and I discussed for the realty assessment, and I agree for the business tax for the ARV, is perhaps a fair market value for the purposes of today's assessment. But the tenant certainly does not pay that amount. The tenant has 3 electrical meters and 1 natural gas meter. There is air conditioning in the office portion, so that's correct. But the air conditioning is run off of one of the 3 electrical meters. The first electrical meter averages $1,335 monthly. The second one is $415, and the third electrical meter is $804 monthly for an average annual consumption of $30,653 for all 3 meters, which includes the air conditioning for the office. This tenant also has 1 natural gas meter, which averages $1,653 per month for a total of $19,841 annually. And also note that it's not just heat, it also includes a natural gas consumed for their air makeup for their paint booth. The water meter serves the entire building, and the tenant's pro rata consumption is $2,375 per annum. The previous cycle, they confirmed a business tax assessment of $187,140 for the same space. Again, there's been no rent increase. The square footage has been the same. However, the costs of maintaining have gone up considerably. So therefore, I'm recommending a reduction in the annual rental value to $183,494 to coincide with the actual rent paid and utilities consumed.
I guess that's my only question. I guess it's just about the water. Are you just taking like the average of the square footage that they have to find your rate?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, they don't use any water in their manufacturing process, so it was just pro rata based on the square footage of the building divided by the square footage of their lease space.
So they don't use any water at all in their manufacturing.
Correct. No, they manufacture truck boxes, so there's no water involved in that.
Those are all my questions.
I'm just going to redirect one to Mr. Lobenstein. The occupancy costs are as of April 1st, 2018. Thank you. So all of these bills are dated 2019 post-reference.
The hydro bills?
Yes.
Well, okay. Hydro has gone up, I guess. It's my only comments on since the consumption. I did ask if they could give me retroactive years as well. They did an average, I think it was 6.5%. They had noticed that the bills have gone up since they did last cycle to this cycle. So that would have been takes 2017 to now.
Okay. Are you the owner and landlord?
I am.
It appears this building has never had any maintenance.
I don't believe that that's accurate.
Well, if you look at the air conditioner, it looks rusted.
That's the heater. That is one of the heaters in the loading dock area. There are other heaters throughout the premises that have been installed 20 years ago. That is one of the worst ones, but that's the main heater that heats the entire high bay area.
So even in your relationship with the tenant, have they not asked to get these things repaired?
They have. And I, in turn, asked for a higher rent. And they said, no, we'll live with it the way it is.
Because if I look at the comparisons the assessors supplied, I suspect the rents are not that much different.
Well, they are considerably different. The rents for this space is 92 cents per square foot. And the rents the assessor supplied are $3.75. So that's almost $2.80 difference between the two, because the reported rent per square foot is $3.42 gross, which includes property taxes, common area maintenance, and building insurance. Whereas the reported rents for the rent comparables do not include those items. So if you compare net to net, the rent that the tenant pays is 92 cents per square foot.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Yes, just one question. Looking at these, the disrepair of the roof, would it not be in the owner's better interest to repair that roof so it's better for the tenant overall?
Again, if the tenant's willing to contribute towards that, absolutely. We've been entertaining discussions for many years. I mean, this roof has been an ongoing issue for 12 years or more. We've done our best to patch it. We use a product called all sand roof flashing, which is like a rubberized membrane that we paint over the seals. At the end of the day, the roof is shot. It's about $2.4 million to replace the roof in the whole building. We haven't done it because the rents haven't justified the ability to do it. So we patch as we go. But this is the condition that it is today.
Thank you.
One question, Mr. Golden. How long have the tenants been in this building for?
2007, I believe they moved in.
So have you been appealing this BA every year since 2007?
I have, and consistently the confirmed decision that this board has made has been 180 to 187,000 every year.
Thank you. That's all my questions. We are next going to hear 1350 Saskatchewan Avenue.
Yeah, just waiting for your call. Why? I sent an email to you. You didn't.
Yeah, I'm not here. Wow.
I'd like to call this meeting back to order.
Can you state your full name, please? Do you affirm that the evidence? Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Left out my middle name.
Mr. Lobenstein, whenever you are ready.
Sure. Next one on the docket is 1350 Saskatchewan Ave. The business assessment ID is 26142. The total annual rental value is $485,640. I have a verbal recommendation for $348,900. That's $348,900. That's taking the base rent of $294 and reducing it to $2.50 a square foot. This is a carry through for realty. And also in terms of the occupancy costs, I'm changing The heat, water, and AC, I'm reducing that down to 8,484 square feet for those three utilities. That's the heat, water, and air conditioning. The electric stays the same at 90,103 square feet.
I'm sorry, you're reducing the square footage of the cost to 8,000?
Yep, that's correct.
And I'm sorry, the base rent?
Went from $2.94 to $2.50.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld?
Yeah, sorry, yes. What your base ARV is based on 90,000 feet, right?
90,000.
Yes, okay. That's where, okay, that's fine. Yeah, you're in agreement.
You're accepting?
Yes.
Thank you. Say it.
Which
It's hard to hear in here, there's an echo.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'll talk a little louder. It's 348,000. Yeah, 348,900.
Mr. McIntyre, did you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Marks, any
No.
questions? Neither do I. So we'll move on to 1465 Inkster.
1465 Inkster Boulevard. The business assessment ID is 53683. The annual rent value is 169,680. And I have a verbal recommendation. I'm reducing the base rent from $3.92 to $3.75 a square foot. And this gives a rounded annual rental value of $164,930.
Yes, we are in agreement.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that number, please?
$164,940.
940. Mr. Neufeld, you're accepting?
Yes,
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Any questions, Mr. Marks?
None at all.
I have none.
Thanks, Rocky.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rocky. Bye.
Can you state your full name, please?
Ryan Oliveros.
And do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Oliveros. And we are now moving on to 1355 Mountain Avenue, and whenever you're ready, Mr. Waldenstein.
Sure. 1355 Mountain Avenue. The business assessment ID is 22983. I'm just quickly going to get you to flip the page to take a look at the property on the back of it. So this is a fairly substantial property. It's a very large warehouse portion, but also a very large office portion that's included in the front of the building there. You can see in the map below, it's located in Inkster Industrial Park. So this is the Free Press building in that area where they do their printing of their newspapers and such. So, and that's why we have a total annual rental value of $2,147,520. We're applying an overall ARV of $7.93 a square foot to the premise area of 270,890 square feet. So as we look below, we can see that we have 5 different premises broken up between 19,000 square feet, 99,000 square feet, 9,000 square feet, 86,000 square feet, and 56,000 square feet approximately. We have different base rents put on these. These are the net rents that we're putting on them. So they vary from $5.05 all the way up to $6.30 a square foot. So when looking at this property is, like I said, broken up into different wall heights as well. It has 28-foot wall heights in the warehouse area, with down to 14-foot wall heights in the office areas. And but the building itself was built entirely in 1990. In terms of the office, and there is a large atrium or mezzanine space. That would be the premise ID 27079. It's 86,890 square feet, and we're applying a rent to this office mezzanine portion of $5.05 a square foot. The majority of, or the rest of the building is the warehouse, and those are the other rents that we're applying, from $6.30 a square foot for the 19,000 up to the $5.93 for the 9,000 portion. This is a very large building, obviously, so there are not a lot of comparables in the sense of just the whole building, but when we look at the closest comparable, I would say for my rent comparables would be 200 Beijing Avenue in the St. Boniface Industrial Park. It's in an industrial park similar to the Inkster Industrial Park, and it actually does do printing of packages and labels, and so it has large printing presses in it as well. And they're getting a net rent of $7.91 a square foot, and they also have quite a large office area. The rest of my rents are in the Inkster Industrial Park area or very close to it, such as Oak Point Highway, Olmans Creek, King Edward. These ones, all of these starts range from 2012 up to 2017, and the lease terms range from 5 years to 10 years. With the reported lease areas, I tried to match the premises, so they range, of course, as high as 136,000 to as low as 9,028 square feet. And of course, the ranges, the reported square feet ranges from $5.70 a square foot up to $7.91 a square foot. So that being said, I feel that these comparables support our overall ARV as $7.93 a square foot, for a total annual rental value of $2,147,520. That should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
Mr. Lovenstein, we were discussing this sort of early on.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a chance to take a look at the atrium, whether that should have been included in the leasable area for Winnipeg Free Press?
Yeah, it absolutely should be included. And that's the interesting thing, because the atrium, when you walk into the atrium, you actually have to walk. You walk into the atrium portion of it, and then there's 2 escalators that go up, and there's also washrooms behind the front desk, on both levels, on the second level and on the top level. So, from my perspective, I haven't inspected the building, but I have some pictures of it, that there pretty much be no way to get to the second level from the atrium area without using the escalators. There's also washrooms in there, so people have to walk through the atrium to use the washrooms. So basically, if you're going to rent out this building, or if this building's going to be used, you have to use the atrium part of it. It's not really subject to avoiding it. So.
But it's a multi-tenant building.
Well,
Currently, is it not?
to a point, this is the Free Press building. It's pretty much owner occupied. They do have 2 small leases in there for 4,268 square feet and 7,719 square feet. So yes, there are 2 tenants in there, but considering this building is 270,000 square feet, they're a very small portion of it. The majority of it is owner occupied.
Correct. But since it's a multi-tenant property, that's the common area that they would all have to share now to enter the building, correct? So
Sure, but the majority of the people who are using it would be the Free Press people. They're leasing out the space to basically just cover some costs.
but I would typically expect that we're trying to base the premise area off of the area that the owner of that premise actually uses. Again, I'm just referring back to the common area. all tenants use it. Winnipeg Free Press, I just believe it should be removed, but.
I understand. I don't know if all tenants use that common area. There are parking on the side entry doors. You might be more familiar with it than I am, but I don't know if all tenants.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre.
Just one question, was it real?
Is it realty appeal? Yes. Yeah. But a municipal board is taking out.
Oh, okay, thank you. That was my only question.
So you didn't personally inspect this building yourself?
We talked about it. Obviously, we haven't got a chance to inspect it for this now. But no, I personally have not been in it. I believe it has been in by another assessor in the previous cycle, but not for this past 2020 cycle.
Okay, so on the realty side, it was not inspected to the best of your knowledge?
Not for this past cycle.
So I'm just going to ask, can you explain, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 premise areas, and I think you talked about one, which is the mezzanine at 86,000. Can you just tell me what the other 4 are?
Yeah, they're broken down. Basically, there's like a mail room. There's like shipping docks. There's where they're actually like printing the papers themselves. So there's a storage area. So we've kind of broken them down into different sections on sort of their usage.
But can you specifically tell me what the areas are?
Well, which area is which?
Yeah.
No, I can't specifically tell you which area is which. Unless I have it.
Okay, so then do you know which area is the office area?
I do. That I do know is I mentioned that before. That would be the premise ID 27079. That's the office area at 86,890 square feet.
Okay, and that includes this mezzanine?
That includes the mezzanine, yes.
And there are currently 2 tenants occupying?
There are currently 2 tenants in the building. One has just over 4,000 square feet, and the other one's just over 7,500 square feet of space there.
To the best of your knowledge, then, and I understand you haven't inspected, is this building fully occupied by the Free Press?
There is the office portion. There is quite a bit of vacancy on it. They actually have some advertisements out that were brought up in the realty portion of it that they are trying to rent out some office space. They do have some vacancy. It is the Free Press, so that was definitely something that was brought up in the realty. It was also brought up that they're asking, these are gross rents, but they're asking $16, approximately $15, $16 gross rents for these office spots. So, quite a bit lower than what we're giving a net rent of $5. Or our net rent's quite a bit lower than they're asking.
Sorry, just on your comparables. So obviously, I'm going to say none of the comparables are newspaper.
No, like I said, the closest one that you're going to get to the newspaper is the 200 Beijing Avenue, because they do print. They don't print newspapers, but they do print packaging, they print labels. So they do have some very large printing presses in there. So it's a similar type of usage as the property. It actually has a fairly large office area as well. Obviously, it's not even nearly as large as this building. This building is massive at 280,000 square feet.
So 2 questions then. The building on Beijing, do you know the age of it?
It's a little newer. It's the building on Beijing is I think it's a 2000 build, I believe.
And the rest of your comparables, do you know the age?
They range. I don't have the exact ages for the comparable properties, but they're definitely going to be in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s in Inkster Industrial Park.
So the one on Beijing is the closest in terms of square footage at 136. As you stated, this is a monster building at 270.
Yes, yeah.
So does economy of scale come into it at all?
For this
For this
property,
building.
well, as you can see, we've broken down the premises, so economies of scale won't come into it quite the same way because we've taken out the office portion and broken up some of the warehouse portion of it. So.
Thanks. That's all my questions. Mr. Oliveris, if you'd like to begin.
Yes.
Okay, so the subject premise, 1555 Mountain Avenue, roll number 22983.
Can't hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'll try to speak a little louder. Just
Shout.
okay. All right. So the subject premise, 1355 Mountain Avenue, roll number 22983. You'll see on page 2 of my report here, we are asking the board to reduce the annual rental value from $2,147,520 to $1,632,000. For the overall property, the assessor has, or Mr. Lobenstein, sorry, has described the property well. There is just the issue of the premise area that is applied to the office portion for the sole premise area for Winnipeg Free Press. So for the office area, you'll see on page 6 of my report, we had applied 47,506 square feet to the office portion. I believe the assessor and myself were in agreement for the square footage of the industrial portion at 184,000. So on my workup here, on page 8, you'll see that the total premise area that we are applying is 231,506. On page 11 of my report to page 13, I've provided floor plans. You can see that the atrium that we've been referring to, it's on the left center of the map. Designated areas are 1 and 2, sorry, on page 11, and you can put that together as you look through pages 12 and 13. That's just to show you where the atrium is. So it is a multi-tenant building. Typically, common areas, they shouldn't be applied, and it looks like in this case it was applied to the Winnipeg Free Press. Again, so multi-tenant buildings, which is why we decided not to apply it to the premise area for Winnipeg Free Press. And further to that, for the rents now. And sorry, we do have the listing provided on page 16 to 21 of my brief. That shows on page 17, there was up to 30,000 square feet of vacant space. This listing was as of 2017. Now going back to the rents. So the board for the realty hearing for this property sided with the assessor for the office portion, and for the industrial portion, applied the rent supported by Altus. And that's on page 23 of my brief. You can see that. And just going back to the workup now, you'll see the rents that I have applied on page 8. We don't contest what Mr. Lovenstein has applied for the office portion. However, for the warehouse portion, we're asking that $4.50 a square foot be applied to each of the warehouse portions there. And that brings us to our annual rental value of the $1,632,000. The occupancy costs are not contested. That concludes my presentation.
Questions, Mr. Robinson?
Sure. So on your page 6, you have 4 rents you're showing.
Yeah.
The newest one is 1974. That White Avenue building, the majority of it's actually built in, I believe, 1920. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
But would you consider these good comparable properties for an industrial building that was built in 1990.
It depends on the upkeep of them. I didn't get a chance to inspect any comparables, but it's what's located in the Eastern Industrial Area, and the board did agree with us for the industrial portion. So
I'm just speaking to the rent in your page 17. I believe this is an advertisement. It says a gross rent of $19.95 for a 2017 base year. So this is what they're asking for their office space.
that is what they're asking for their office space as of 2017.
But you agree with our $5.05, but you feel that you should be taking out the atrium portion.
That is correct,
And
yes.
you're taking the atrium portion simply because of two tenants in the building
Simply because of two tenants in the building, yes.
that contribute less than 20,000 square feet to the area.
That's correct, but again, it's multi-tenant, so that is common area that all tenants, including, well, the owner, Winnipeg Free Press, are using. So.
But the majority of this building will always be free press.
Correct, yes.
Those are all my questions.
I just have one question. Are there separate business assessment roles for these subtenants?
I believe there is one other business assessment role.
Or are they subtenants? In other words, the free press, there's only one VA role for the whole building. But these tenants pay their portion of the free press.
I can't recall if, yeah. I believe that 5,676 square foot on page 5. I can't say that with absolute certainty though. Yeah, that's as far as I know that. But yeah, majority of the business assessment is related to the free press.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Mr. Marks?
Yes, on your comparables, there's not much to compare there because there's only one building and 135,000 square feet. Is it similar to the Free Press building
1,000 King Edward.
on King Edward?
Yeah, 1,000 King Edward looks like it's a trucking facility.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that photo here.
And the one on Fife?
Sorry.
One on Fife, is it, what is that utilized for?
Yeah, so the building on Fife, one story as well, looks like it has some office finish in the warehouse portion at the back for 1155. We are not aware that we don't know the finished area for 1155, but I can see from the photo that I'm looking at that there is some office finish.
So did you have a chance to inspect this building?
No, I did a drive-by yesterday, but I haven't inspected the interior of the building.
So you're talking about the atrium then? You haven't had eyes on, so just in terms of the setup?
It's in terms of the setup and the floor plan.
So are there no other access doors into the building besides the front?
It's likely there's side doors. Of course, I didn't want to intrude on the property. I just know of the main entrance to the front.
So you don't know if it's still occupied, the two rental spaces are still occupied currently,
Yes.
as far as you know?
As far as I know, yeah. Last time I read the income, when I read the income statement for 2017, there were still two occupied, there were still two tenants.
So then you're assuming they're coming through the front doors?
Correct, yes.
And is there, I think, what is it, page 17? You've got the office lease pictures, etc. Is it still currently being advertised for rent?
Yes, it is actually.
To the best of your knowledge?
Yes, that's correct. We pulled listings for it as of March 2020.
And Mr. Lobenstein, I'm sorry, because again, I can't really hear that well in here. Did you say this was before, the city's brought this before the media board? Yeah. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to 2520 Farrier. Maybe you're ready, Mr. Robinson?
The address is 2520 Farrier. The business assessment ID is 2005. The total annual rental value is $371,040. The total premise areas are 48,583 square feet, and we have an overall per square foot of $7.64. So we just turn over the page, we can take a look at the property. So the property on the bottom of the page there, you can see it's a large industrial lot with large land to building ratio. They have a lot of different outbuildings. And you can see where it's located, kind of in the Westfield industrial area. So moving on to the premises. So we have a premise for 43,502 square feet. We're applying $5.88 a square foot. And this has full heat, electricity, and water, but we're only applying 1,280 square feet for the air conditioning. And then, of course, there's 5,081 square feet that we have. We're applying $3.28 a square foot. This is not heated. It does not have water. It's not air conditioned. It only has some electrical. In terms of the buildings on the property, there's 5 buildings on the property that we're assessing here. So for 34,862 square feet is first building. It's got a 32-foot wall height. It's built in 1976. Another one is 2,201 square feet. It's got 18 feet, built in 1951. It's one of the unheated ones. Another one for 2,880 square feet, built in 1968. This one is heated. And another one for 2,520 square feet. It's got 16 feet wall height. It's built in 1941 and it's unheated. And then the last one is for 6,120 square feet. It's got 16-foot wall height. And this one was built in 2006. So that'd be their newer one. That kind of shows in the picture at the back of the building. Moving on, you can see the rent comparables are on Feet, Church, 2 on Paramount, 3 on Church, and another one on Burroughs. None of these have quite the same land to building ratio as the subject properties. It's something that's very difficult to find for rented properties. So we're basically looking more at the premises. So they range from 5,000 all the way up to 43,000 square feet. The lease terms range from 5 years to 10 years, and the lease starts range from 2012 to 2017. And the leases range from $4 a square foot all the way up to $5.50 a square foot. Another thing that's also difficult to find is unheated rented space in the city. It's almost non-existent. So we're basically applying a rate of $3.28 for things that are unheated. So aside from that, I believe, yes, this one had a recommendation at the Board of Revision for the realty, which was accepted. But since then, it has been appealed by all this to the municipal board for 2020. So that's why there's no carry through to it. And so I feel the total annual rental value of $371,040 is fair and equitable and should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oliveris, questions?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
So the total unheated space is 5,081 square feet.
Yeah, 5,081 square feet.
And how many buildings does that encompass?
That encompasses
Two?
specifically which two. I'm not too sure.
So there's 3 other buildings included in the 43,000 square feet. Are they all the same type of?
Well, I think it's also it's like when you're looking at the main building, I think they're built in stages. So we break down the stages, the 43,000 square feet.
Okay, if I look at your picture on page 2, is that front portion office space?
I would believe that very front portion with the low ceiling height is office space, yes.
So that's been lumped in with the manufacturing space?
Yep.
Not a separate premise?
We're not breaking down this.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
No questions.
Okay, so the subject premises located at 2520 Ferry Street, roll number 2005. Page 2 of my brief is just a summary. You could also see a photo of the subject. We're asking the board to reduce the annual rental value, 2020 annual rental value from $371,040 to $329,940. Going to page 4 of my brief. Subject, it's located between Beecher Avenue to the south and Murray to the north. The area is known as the West Kildonia Industrial Area. The road is asphalt. There is no sewer, storm drainage, garbage pickup, regular city water services, or mail delivery provided to this location. The water service is private and it's not sufficient to handle an emergency situation. So I provided just a table of the breakdown of the different premises. We have building 1, 34,862 square feet with 32-foot wall height. We got building 2, 2,201 square feet, unheated ground floor, poor condition, with an 18-foot wall height. Building number 3, built in 1968, wood frame, main area 2,880 square feet, 14-foot wall height. Building 4, built in 1991, wood frame construction as well, 2,520 square feet with a 16-foot wall height. It is unheated with gravel and has a gravel floor. Building number 5, built in 2006, wood frame, 6,120 square feet, 16-foot wall height with a gravel floor. We have a total gross floor area, 48,583 square feet. It does have a large land to building ratio. Going to page 5, I provided maps of the subject premises, as well as on page 6. Going to page 7 to discuss the rents that we've applied. So the subject premise was owner occupied as of the reference date. We've provided a range of comps here. Again, building number 1, it was constructed in 1976 with 32-foot wall height, but limited finish. The above rents, they range from $3.51 a square foot to $5.71 a square foot. The ages, they range from 1963 to 1993 with wall heights from 10 feet to 22 feet. For building number 1, we will use a net rent of $5.25 a square foot. For buildings number 2 and 3, they are unheated with ground floors, and as the assessor had stated, there's not many rents within the city, so we've applied a minimal rent of $1.50 a square foot. For building number 4, 2,520 square feet. You can see here that the building ages range from 1975 to 1985. The leasable areas are from 2,350 square feet to 2,850 square feet. The rents range from $4.25 a square foot, $4.25 a square foot. wall heights ranging from 14 feet to 24 feet. And we've applied a rent of $4 a square foot for that portion. For building number 5, again, we provided the comps here. The ages range from 1969 to 1988, 14 feet to 22 foot wall height. The rents range from $4 to $5.95 a square foot. So based on the age and the wall height, we are using a rent of $5 per square foot. And I provided a summary of the rents applied on page 8. So based on the above, we are asking the board to apply a rent of $4.76 a square foot, or $231,327 for the base rent. We don't contest the rentable area, or sorry, the occupancy costs. You'll see that on page 9 of my complete workup. And further to that, I've provided photos of the subject property subject premise on pages 12 to 21 of my brief, and as well as photos of the comparable properties on pages 24 to 31. And that concludes my presentation.
Questions, Mr. Robinson?
And I don't have any questions.
Just one question. Did you inspect the property?
Just the exterior. One of my colleagues did inspect the property in 2017, which is where I got the photos from.
Okay. I'm just wondering on page 4 of your premise description, you're talking about second building being in poor condition.
Yes.
So is that from 2017, that comment? And is that made by the individual who had inspected?
So that was made by the individual who inspected the property. That is building number 2, and I do have a photo of that one. That building was visible from the road, so I was able to get a good look at it. It is still in poor condition. There's still graffiti on it. Overall, the building number 2 is still in poor condition.
It is gone to the muni board?
This one, yeah, there was a recommendation made and it was accepted, and then since then, yeah, the office appealed it to the board.
Thank you. On to 55 Dunlop.
Okay, 55 Dunlop, the business assessment ID is 21088. The annual rental value is $697,680. The total premise area is 102,258 square feet for an overall per square foot is $6.82 a square foot. So if we just turn to the back of the page, we can look at the map. Take a look at the property as well. You see an overhead view of the property. This property has been built up over a period of time, 1974, 1976, 1980, and 1988 would be the 4 different stages. And they have wall heights that range from 14 feet all the way up to 26 feet. On to the subject lease information. They have a net lease for $4.65 a square foot. And then moving down to the comparables. The comparables are all fairly close to the subject property. On Redwood, Inkster, McLeod, Fife, Mission would probably be the furthest one from it. And they range in net rents from $4 a square foot all the way up to $6.53 a square foot. So, the subject property fits between those rents. The reported areas of these comparable properties range from 95,000 square feet all the way up to 134,664 square feet. So again, the subject property fits between these comparables. The lease terms range from 2 years to 11 years, and the lease starts range from 2014 to 2017. So they are relatively new leases. That being said, I feel the annual rent value is $697,680 is fair and equitable and should be confirmed. Thank you.
Questions?
I have no questions.
I just have one. The lease start date is January 2015 for only 11 months.
Yeah, it's like that is somewhat odd. I agree. I actually have yeah, that's what's on the mailer for 11 months. But it is $4.65, and they've marked off new lease.
There's been no subsequent mailers received.
I didn't bring any subsequent mailers. I just brought the mailer for the 2018 year reference here. So I didn't.
Okay, thank you.
And actually, sorry, on the mailer it says like 2018 from January 1st, 2018 to the lease end in December of 2018. So this may very well have been a typo. I'm not too sure how that got in there for 2015, but it is, the mailer itself states 2018.
Also, the lease start date was 2015.
Well, I have the mailer here if you want to see it.
No, that's fine.
It states the 2018.
That's fine. Thank you. Yeah. That was all my questions.
None for me, thank you.
So, Mr. Lobenstein, Industrial Rubber Supply Company is still renting here?
As Industrial Rubber Supply Company is still renting there as per the most recent mailer for the reference date.
2018.
The 2018 year. Yes.
Did you have a chance to inspect? Did you do the realty side of this?
I did not do the realty side of this.
For your rent comparables,
Mhm.
Can you tell me ages?
Again, I don't have the exact ages, but they definitely all range between 1960 and 1980. They're kind of in that 1960 to 1980 range. Sorry, I got to talk louder.
Very soft-spoken. And I didn't quite catch the ages on the subject property.
Sure, I can give those again. So the subject property was built up over 4 stages. So in 1974, that's 47,600 square feet. It's got 14 feet wide. Building number 2 is 1976, 10,410 square feet, 14 feet wide. Building number 3 was 1980. That's 29,128 square feet. That's 23 foot wide. And building number 4 is 1988. That's 15,120 square feet, and that's 26 foot wide.
Any questions? Mr. Oliveras, if you'd like to proceed.
So the subject premise is located at 55 Dunlop Avenue, roll number 21088. Page 2 of my brief, we are asking the board to reduce the annual rental value from $697,680 to $652,680. I will skip over the premise description. Mr. Lobenstein has given an accurate description already. I'm just going to page 7. So we are applying a overall rent of $4.25 a square foot. We are not disputing any of the occupancy costs. And I apologize, I should have asked about this. It slipped my mind, but the rent that that Mr. Lobenstein stated, the property is owner occupied. Page 17 of my brief, I've included what was said on the realty here. The rent in place is between corporate affiliates, McGallis Holdings, and Industrial Rubber Supply. So we haven't placed any weight on either the gross income or the reported 2017 NOI for the realty. Further to that, we're applying the $4.25 a square foot because the board did agree with our argument on page 10 of my brief. It states here that they did apply the net operating income of the applicant, Altus Group. So again, we're asking the board to reduce the assessed value the annual rental value to $652,680 to follow the 2020 realty assessment.
Is that all? Sorry, are you going to continue?
Oh, no, that
You're done.
concludes our
Okay.
presentation, yes.
Mr. Lobenstein, questions?
Yeah, I'm just interested in the corporate affiliation between the two companies. Do you have any documentation to show that they're affiliated? This is the first I've heard of this.
As just said on the realty, I didn't include the appendix on this one.
Okay. That's my only question.
I have no questions.
No questions for me either.
Did you have a chance to inspect?
Just the exterior, just did a drive-by.
That's all my questions. Thank you. We're just going to take a quick 10-minute break here. I'd like to call this hearing back to order. We are going to move on to 100 Bentall Street.
100 Bentall Street, the business assessment ID is 18012. The total annual rental value is $1,085,580. The total premise area is $132,243, and the overall ARV is $8.21 per square foot. So we just look down, you can see the breakup of the overall ARV. So we have a base rent of $6.07 a square foot. We are then applying heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning. We're applying full heat, electricity, and water to the total area, but we're only applying 11,284 square feet for the air conditioning. And that gives us a total occupancy cost of $282,869 for our annual rental value of $1,085,580. When you flip over to page 2, you can see where it's located. It's located in the Inkster Industrial Park. Just below is a picture of the facility. This is a food processing facility, Old Dutch. I believe they make their chips there. So it's both a warehouse and manufacturing. Turning back over to the rent comparables. They're on Redwood, Inkster, and Baygen. So two of them are right in the Inkster Industrial Park. Redwood is not too far away, and 200 Baygen is in the St. Boniface Industrial Park, an industrial park that's somewhat similar to the Inkster Industrial Park, but obviously in St. Boniface. That being said, this building was built in 1977. It's got wall heights of as high as 30 feet, and the office area would be 11 feet. The whole building was built in 1977. So we feel that the total annual rental value of $1,085,580 is fair and equitable and should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Oliveris?
Sorry, what did you say about for the wall height?
We have wall heights listed for 30 feet on the high end, 11 feet for the office, and we have 4,000 square feet at 20 feet.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
Just one question. If I look at your photo, it looks like that front building with the little circle is an office space.
That's correct.
Is it 2 floors?
I have not inspected the building, so I do not know if it's 2 floors, but just judging by the size of it, I would say.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
On your comparables, are they a similar type of building?
It's similar type in the sense of, do they manufacture like food products and stuff? They do not, but they are similar in the sense of the areas, and they are similar in the sense of the age of the buildings. They're built between 1960 and I guess the 200 Beijing was built in 2000, as I mentioned before.
Okay. Good, thank you. That's all.
So, Mr. Lobenstein, just looking at the photo here. So the little front section that Mr. McIntyre referred to, is that all of the office space?
I believe that would be all the office space.
Because you didn't have a chance to
I
inspect
did not have,
it. Was it inspected on the realty?
it was
So this is all warehouse.
warehouse and manufacturing. There'll be some storage components to it, manufacturing components to it. So I believe the storage area would probably be where the trucks go in and out, and you can see sort of on the far side there where the steam's coming out, probably the manufacturing section of it.
So speaking of the trucks, they've got loading docks here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know the land to building ratio? on
I
this?
actually don't know.
Just curious, but it looks a little tight to me.
Well,
to be
I mean,
honest.
in the sense of it, you can actually see the trucks are backed in perfectly fine in the storage area. They're not impeded by parking there or anything. They don't have any cars parked there. Again, this facility is totally enclosed. They don't really have any of their products or materials on the outside of the property, which you would see in like M3 manufacturing. So really, they're using the space for the building, which is what they would want to use it for. So I would not say the land to building ratio is really impeding here.
I'm just wondering about the height of the docks. This was built in '77, but it's just me chit-chatting. So sorry, the air conditioning, there's only 11,000 for the air
Correct.
conditioning, and that's, I'm assuming, the office
That is
space.
the office space.
Okay, interesting that the manufacturing part isn't air conditioned, but anyway, thank you. Mr. Oliveris, if you'd like to proceed.
So the subject premise located at 100 Bentall Street, roll number 18012. Page 2 have the summary. We are asking the board to reduce the annual rental value from $1,085,580 to $813,720. Just go through the premise description here. And look at 100 Bentall Street. It's a one-story building presently being used for industrial purposes, chip manufacturing, food processing. The subject building, it's located in the Inkster Industrial Park on a cul-de-sac just north of Mountain Avenue. The subject property is best described as a light manufacturing warehouse storage facility with office. The building was constructed in 1977 of masonry with steel frame and has a plan area of 98,053 square feet and a gross floor area of 132,243 square feet. The leasable area is comprised of an 88,316 square foot warehouse. 60% of it is used as warehouse and 40% is used as manufacturing. There's a 4,095 square foot truck bay with an additional 28,548 square foot warehouse mezzanine. In addition, the subject features an 11,284 two-story office. The warehouse has a split ceiling height of 18 feet and 28 feet. Actually didn't include the photographs for this one. But, okay, so we have a land area of 349,291 square feet with M2 industrial zoning. And the building to land ratio is approximately 1 to 3.49. I provided maps on page 5. And just page 5. So for the rent applied, we would like to encourage the board to the decision on appendix page 11 of the report, where it does state that the decision was, or sorry, page 12, 11 to 12. So the decision, it was based on the applicant's net operating income, so Altus, 7% cap rate. I've provided my workup on page 8. And again, we've applied the overall rent with the breakdown to the right there in the bottom portion of the workup, $4.01 a square foot. We do not, we are not disputing the occupancy cost at this time. And for your reference, I have included the realty brief and for the rents that, for the overall rent that we did apply it on page 19. So again, we're asking the board to reduce the annual rental value to $813,720. Thank you.
So your page. I guess 19. This is the realty brief. You have non-office mezz at 28,548 square feet. You applied a $2.25 rent to that. Can you explain what that is?
The $2.25.
Well, more like what is the non-office mezz?
Here, so yeah, unfortunately, I can't speak to that. It's likely it's just mezzanine to, or possibly storage.
So why would storage space get such a low rent as compared to the rest of the manufacturing building?
So typically for mezzanines, we apply about half the rental value per square foot. That's typically our logic.
But it's being used for storage.
I can't say that with certainty.
You're applying $4.50 of rent to your, and you're using the rent comparables. These are some of the rent comparables that we've seen. So we have White Ave and Inkster, which are substantially smaller than the subject property, and White Ave's quite a bit older than the subject property. Would you say these are good comparables for the subject property?
We are older, but it was the comps that we were able to, it was the best comps that we were able to pull for this. 1977. We do have the one on 1670 Inkster, 42,480. That's at $4.05 a square foot. But I agree that the first three comps there, or sorry, the first and second comp are older, but it looks like that we just put the effective age. So the original build of those comps, for comp number 1000 King Edward, original age was 1966. Comp number 2, 1979. So yes, so comparables 2 and 4. It's probably our best comps. Those are all my questions.
Just one observation, the Board of Revision did not reduce the realty to what you wanted it to be.
No, but they did apply the net operating income that we had advocated for.
So then the $4.01, it's probably higher.
Well, so we just gotta,
Because you wanted 6,550,000.
Yeah.
798. And they came to 6,916,000.
yeah. So if you take take our net operating income to 458,556. That's on page 20. Okay. And take the cap rate that was applied here of, we get the 6,550,000 that the board, or
Well, the board
Sorry.
didn't accept that. They came to
revised.
$6,916,000.
Okay, sorry, looks like I missed that part. Yeah, so the board did apply the revised net operating income. I misread that. But I would still argue for the rents that we did apply for the realty. So still believe that the comps do support the overall rent of $4.01 a square foot.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
All my questions have been asked. Thank you.
For the meeting. Taken it. We're going to move on to 1 Cole Avenue. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Robinson.
1 Cole Avenue, the business assessment ID is 18712. The total annual rental value is $234,600. The total area of all the premises is 43,534 square feet, and the overall ARV per square foot is $5.39 a square foot. So we have two premises here, one for 5,384 square feet. We're applying $5.98 a square foot, and we're applying the full heat, electrical, water, and air conditioning. The second premise is 38,150 square feet. We're applying $3.70 a square foot, and we're only applying electricity. We're not applying any heat, water, or air conditioning. So this gives us total occupancy costs. For our total annual rental value of $234,600. So there is a small lease on this property. It is a gross rent of $8.93 a square foot for a tenant. If you look at the property on the back of the page, you can see it's a bit of a sprawling property. It's got 5 different buildings on it. Or 6 different buildings on it. They range in years built from 1928 to 2003. So 1928, that main area for that one is 6,106 square feet. It's got 11-foot wall height. The next one is 3,788 square feet. It's got 12-foot wall height. It's built in 1928. Third building is 4,800 square feet. It's got 15-foot wall height, and it's built in 1951. The fourth building's got 5,200 square feet. It's got 16-foot wall height. It's built in 1979. The fifth one is 7,564 square feet. It's got 19-foot wall height. It was built in 1929. And then the sixth one's got 14,400 square feet. It's got 18-foot wall height, and it was built in 2003. So the majority of these buildings are obviously unheated. The only heated portion is a small sort of a 2-story office building. I spoke about before at 5,384 square feet. So when you're looking at the rent comparables, again, it was somewhat difficult to find properties that are as like expansive as this one that rent out like. So I basically focused on the reported areas. So we have reported areas of 6,000 square feet for the comparables up to 39,825 square feet. They range in reported rents from $2.48 a square foot all the way up to $7.10 a square foot. They're all close to the subject property. They're on Plinkett, Dugald, Washington, Cole, Keno Side, and Nairn. And the lease starts range from 2011 to 2015. So I feel that the premise areas sort of fall within the range of the reported areas and the square footages. So we feel that the total annual rental value of $234,600 is fair and equitable and should be confirmed. Thank you.
Joel Amaris.
Just with regards to your comps, comps are quite older. Was there nothing more recent that?
Nothing in the area for, like, as I said, with the reported areas, try to kind of sandwich them in between the premises. The terms are good except for the Nairn Avenue at only 1 year. So these are probably the closest I felt that were comparable to the subject property. As I said before, these are difficult ones to find comparables for because they're sort of an atypical property.
No further questions.
Just one question. If you look at your photo, this is all SIPs, correct?
Yeah.
So there's 4 warehouses, storage areas, but right. And then you're showing a lease on where the number 1 is, and I've been to this property many times, is all SIPs showroom offices. Yet there's a lease for it?
Apparently, yeah, that's on the mailer.
But not the warehouse?
I didn't bring in the mailer, but apparently the mailer stated there was a lease on it. So I'll have to go back and take a look at that.
Okay, that was my only question.
No questions from me, thank you.
I thought it was occupied, but we do have a lease on it. I guess it's owner odd.
Because you've got under owner occupied. No.
I'll have to go back and take a look at the mailer and confirm what's happening there.
Because I guess one of my questions was going to be, if it's not owner occupied, how long has Allsip been there? And is that not going to be these buildings with their age, 1928, 1929, 1951, is that not going to be unique to them?
Unique to those buildings.
No, like unique to, like if Allsip is in there and it's not owner occupied?
I believe it's owner occupied. We'll see. Like the lease is only for 5,000. It's over 38,000 square feet for the rest of the buildings, but so it would be just a small portion that's being leased out. So the majority of it would be owner occupied. So.
Just one question in regards to your rent comparables. Certainly for size-wise, I'm thinking that only the one on Washington is comparable at 39,000.
Probably the most comparable, yes.
Do you know what takes place there?
I do.
Some sort of manufacturing person.
I'm not sure what takes place there. I don't have that information.
And yet it's at $3.28.
Yep.
Do you know the age?
I do not have that. It's comparable though to the 38,000 and $3.70. $3.28.
Thank you. So the subject premise is located at 1 Cole Avenue, roll number 18712. We are asking the board to reduce the 2020 annual rental value from $234,600 to $178,260. Going to page 4 of my brief. It's an assembly of different structures forming an industrial property. It's located on the south side of Cole Avenue, and it's just under the Nairn overpass. So just as you get off of the Nairn overpass, just heading onto Regent, taking an immediate right, you'll get to the subject premise. There's 4 main improvements constructed over a period of years, and I provide the table breakdown here. So the office building, that would be the owner building number 1, has a variant age of 1947, 5,384 square feet. The main floor, 3,788 square feet, and second floor, 532 square feet, with a 1,064 square foot basement. The easternmost building, provided a map for you to refer to on page 5 for maps. And it's actually comprised of the 3 separate buildings, 3 separate but connected buildings. The northern portion was constructed in 1928 and consists of 6,106 square feet. So that's the owner building number 2. There's a 3,096 square feet unleasable second floor. And the southernmost portion was constructed in 1951, and it consists of 4,800 square feet. The third middle section was built in 1979, connecting the previous 2 buildings, and it consists of 5,280 square feet, with the exception of the 1928 portion, which is unheated. The last 2 structures, they're simply unheated basic warehouses. They do not feature any plumbing and have gravel floors. The oldest, westernmost structure is wood frame, constructed in 1929, and consists of 7,564 square feet. It had new steel siding added in recent years. The new structure was placed on site in 2003, but actually consists of an older steel frame 1970s vintage with siding and new roof. It consists of 14,400 square feet. Total cost of the new structure was $180,000. The subject site is irregular in shape, with a total site size, according to the city's records, of 157,598 square feet. So for the subject premise, I have provided photos on pages 11 to 20 of my brief for you all to refer to. So moving on to page 6. For the premise area, we don't dispute what this city's records have. So we are applying 43,534 square feet. The subject premises, we do believe it's owner occupied. The owner is all SIPs, and it's all subsequent to the photos. So the rents that we have provided here, all of them are considerably newer than the subject and have a greater wall height, effective age 1977 to 1984, leasable areas 3,898 square feet to 10,975 square feet. So for buildings number 1 and 2, and this is according to the owner's building number, we are applying a rate per square foot of $6. For the unheated areas, we actually did find 2 for this one on Eagle Drive. Their gross rents, 2,032 square feet for index number 7, 1,088 square feet for index number 8. Rent per square foot of $1.48 and $3 a square foot. They're both gross rents. So for the unheated areas, we have applied a rent of $1.50 a square foot. And I just have a summary of that breakdown on page 7, and of course my workup on page 8 of my brief. For the comparable premises, I have provided photos on pages 21 to 24 for you all to refer to. So we are asking the board to reduce the annual rental value to $178,260 for 1 Cole Avenue. Thank you.
Just on your page 6, your unheated areas, you have $1.48 and $3 in state their gross rents. When I look at page 24, that would be the indexes number 7 and 8. Are these storage areas for trucks? Drivers?
Eagle Drive, yes, they are storage areas. For Eagle
Basically,
Drive.
storage, there's semi-trucks there.
Yes.
So really, like, there wouldn't be much of a net rent there anyways. They wouldn't pay any common area fees. They probably don't pay the taxes. Okay. These are all right. Yeah, these are all my questions.
I just have one question on page 5, the site layout. Next to number 1, is that another building with no number on it?
Next to number 1.
To the right of number 1?
What's going on there? I'll have to make note of that. That does look like it could be another building, actually.
Okay, that was my only question.
Okay.
None for me, thank you.
Did you have a chance to inspect this?
I just did a quick drive-by. Mhm.
So some of these photos then are from one of your colleagues' inspections?
Yes, it was from September 2017 as well. Mhm.
And was the realty sign disputed before the meeting board or no?
It was, yes, but it was based on a revised income, so I didn't include that in my brief, but it was disputed. For 1 Cole Avenue, I have the notes here on whether we appealed it to the board or not.
This one has multiple appeals before the or at least 16 and 18. I don't know if that's one.
Yeah, 2020 was appealed to the municipal board
Okay, thank you.
by our office.
Thank you. I have no further questions and we'll go on to our last property at 531 Gold Street.
Uh, 531 Goldsby Street. The business assessment ID is 51890. The annual rental value is $1,047,240. The total area of all premises is 172,354 square feet, and an overall ARV of $6.08. We have a base ARV rent per square foot of $3.95. We're applying the full heat, electricity, and water to that area. 172,354 square feet, but only 8,250 square feet here. Flip it over and see that it's, you can see where it's located. It's sort of in the Monroe area, near Rossmere, Gateway area. You get a view, a picture of the building on the bottom of the page. The building was built in 1958. The office portion has 12-foot wall height and at 8,205 square feet, and then the warehouse portion or the manufacturing portion is 164,104 square feet. That we have it listed as 21 foot height. The comparable properties are on Inkster, Sherwin, McLeod, and Fife. They range from $3.15 a square foot up to $5.25 a square foot, and their reported areas range from 95,997 square feet all the way up to 175,000 square feet. The lease start ranges from 2014 to 2018, and the lease terms range from 2 years to 11 years. We feel that the annual rental value of $1,047,240 is fair and equitable and should be confirmed. Thank you.
Lawyers, questions?
You happen to know the ages and ceiling heights of which one?
Yeah, Inkster.
Maybe I just missed that.
No, the buildings or the rank comparables?
The rent comparables.
Oh, sure. Yeah, 1750 Inkster is 22 feet. Was built in 1970. 1093 Sherwin has 19 feet. That was built in 1964, and 28 feet built in 1979. 831 McLeod ranges between 17 and 24 feet, and it has a range of 1960 to 1989. And Fife has 31 feet and ranges from 1979 to 1982.
With the ceiling height of the subject lower than the comparables, would you agree with that?
The majority of the comparables, yeah, it's lower than McLeod and Sherwin do have 17 and 19 foot ceiling height, but they also have 28 and 20 foot ceiling heights.
No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
Just one question, comp number 2. It's the closest to the subject property, correct?
Yeah.
But yet the rent of $3.15 wasn't used. And it's a fairly new lease too. Start date was March 2018.
Sorry, what do you mean? It wasn't used?
Pardon me?
It wasn't used, correct?
Well, your rent's at $395 and the actual lease for this one's at $315.
For the Sherwin one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the most comparable, is it not?
It's true. It's 315, 393. They're super far apart. They're fairly close.
Okay, thank you.
No, my question's been answered, thank you.
What is the age of this building? I'm sure you stated it. But
Yeah, it's a 1958 building.
1950.
Yes.
Okay, and the office is 8,250 square feet.
8,250 square feet. Yes.
So, just curious as to, on your workup here, that there's no split from the office to the warehouse?
Don't be.
It's all 395?
Yep. Yeah, that's what it.
So why? That's my question.
I mean, I guess we don't always split out office as warehouses. They're a part of it. They're not an overly large part of it. 8,000 square feet out of the 172,000 square foot area. So somebody's not just going to come in and just rent the office and take the warehouse too. So
I'm just wondering, because I think on every other property here that the office has been split.
yeah, because some offices do get split out. They are newer offices. They're more well maintained. They're looking for pre-press building. They're actively trying to rent out some of their office space due to their vacancy, but not all warehouse offices get split out.
Sorry, and on your picture here, do you know which part is the office?
I mean, I would take a guess. Yeah,
Is it this little bit?
yeah,
here?
I would take a guess. It's up.
Thank you. No else?
So the subject premises located at 531 Goldsby Street, roll number 51890. We are asking the board to reduce the ARV from $1,047,240 to $909,360. Going on to page 4. So it's a one-story industrial building on the east side of Goldsby Street between Dobby Avenue to the south and Neil Avenue to the north. It's best described as a light manufacturing warehouse facility. It was built in 1958 of masonry construction. Gross area of 175,426 square feet. The warehouse portion is 164,104 square feet and has a reported wall height of 19 feet. However, the warehouse section, it's on an elevated slab with a clear ceiling height of only 14 feet. The office portion, it constitutes 8,250 square feet and has a ceiling height of 10 feet. It's located in the East Kildonan industrial area on 587,624 square feet of land with a 3.41 land to building ratio. Provided maps on page 5 or Google Earth images. And for this one, for the rents applied, if you flip to page 11 and 12, we can see that the board did apply the hour net operating income. So we maintain that position and we've applied a rent of $3.50 a square foot to the overall area of 172,354 square feet. We do not dispute any of the occupancy costs. And for your reference, I have included the realty brief on pages 13 to 21 of my brief. Page 19, you can see the rent comps that were used. The assessor and I both are coming with 1093 Sherwin, it appears. So yes, based off of what I've presented today, we're asking the board to reduce the annual rental value to $909,360. Thank you. No questions.
Mr. McIntyre?
Again, as in the previous one, the board did not accept your realty value.
The board did not accept the realty value, and so they did apply the net operating income that we had. So applying our net operating income and the 7.5% cap rate would bring us to the revised assessment of $6,118,000. Can't go through that calculation right now just to confirm. So we get the $6,118,000. So that shows that they did go with our position in full for the net operating income.
Okay, thank you.
No, for me, thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.